Hi, it's me and welcome to my next bookish video. Today we are going to be doing a reading vlog of reading 5-star predictions. At the end of my last vlog I finished Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which was a 5-star read. I have read I think one book since then. I've read a couple of books since then. I have started Solace House, which is on my list as a 5-star prediction, mainly because on the front one of the blurbs was, "I adored this. The secret history meets the haunting of Hill House." I do love a secret history, and to kind of like spin that off with a haunted house sounds perfect. It sounds right up my street. So I started this one. I am 100 pages in on chapter 14, so we will discuss a bookish update on this one shortly. However, I did want to just mention the other 5-star predictions I've got that could make it into this reading vlog. So we do have the second born in the Mistborn series. So this is book 2, The Well of Ascension. This is a maybe. So they did the impossible. Evil has been defeated. However, the war has just begun. I had no idea where this book was going to go following the last one. Next, we've got book 3 in the Edge of Darkness trilogy. Now, I gave book 1 4 stars and then I gave book 2 4.5. So I'm anticipating this to be the best one and it be a 5-star read. The weapon they created will be their destruction. Next, we got Red City. Power always has a price. Exclusive signed, obviously. Love getting an exclusive signed when you don't even know if you're gonna like the book. Here's the signature. The first thing they learn about alchemy is that you don't talk about it. Alchemy is the magical art of transformation. Marketed as sand, an illegal drug, it transforms users into more perfect versions of themselves. And among the gleaming skyscrapers of Angel City, it's controlled by 2 rival syndicates. But when 2 childhood friends choose opposite sides, the city and their lives will be irrevocably transformed. This is already sounding quite spicy. Not spicy as in smutty, but spicy as in some juice, some tea to be spilled, and lots of fun. I love like the kind of like dark alchemy kind of story vibes. Red City. I haven't told you who any of these are by. Obviously the Brandon Sanderson one was a book 2, so that's by him. So the Edge of Darkness trilogy Restoration, book 3, is by Lee Rivers, and then Red City we've got by Marie Lu, and then the last option, which is the most unlikely, is Starside by Alex Astor, and that is because me and Josh are going to buddy read this. I might even film a separate video of us buddy reading this. That could be fun, and me and Josh give our updates together. We follow Alex, who needs a place to stay over the summer. He goes to university and he gets an opportunity throughout the summer as a job to live in and clean out this abandoned hospital that is now owned by the university. They're going to clear it out to become student accommodation, and it used to be a home for patients that were mentally unwell. However, he's only there for a day. You start to meet all the characters and that's a lot of fun. They are all really super different and I love that for this book, and we're going to get more information surrounding the characters day by day. So for the summer they're due to clean out this hospital. Day 2, it turns out actually you need to go to the back where there's a Victorian house attached and clear that out, because that's in dire need of clear out, and most of it is going to be junk, is going to be haunted, and that's when things start to get a bit more interesting. We've still got to yet to meet another character, because one of the students hasn't yet turned up to meet them. We do have a fair bit to go. Like I said, I've read 100 pages, but I've got a lot of book to get through. I am anticipating this to be a 5-star because on the cover it says this is like The Secret History meets Haunted House, like The Haunting of Hill House. And to me, that sounds like the perfect combination to make a brilliant book. The build up, the atmosphere, the pacing is all really enjoyable at the moment. So I'm getting like the excitable feelings when reading this. I don't have the 5-star feeling yet, but I'm loving being in this tale. I'm going to be doing dinner shortly, so we've already had a location change. We got to the point where they've been told about clearing out this house, Solly's house. I'm just going to read page 101 so you get the vibes. "You mean he did all this?" said Clive in wonder. "Thingy, whoever lived here." "Yay," I said, "you finally got there." "It's early," said Clive. "Leave me alone. Fucking hell, just look at all this." "Actually, I had a great aunt like this," said Malcolm. "Same condition. She actually couldn't throw anything out. Her house looked exactly like this when she kicked the bucket. And when I say she couldn't throw anything out, I mean anything. In the fridge they found bottles and jars of all like poo and wee in them." "Thanks for that, Malcolm," said Ruth. "Tell you what, you can clean out the fridge. If we ever find it," said Adam. His pale face glowed in the darkness. Jilly smiled. Does anyone have any questions?" Everyone put their hand up. "Oh, I see. Okay, you first." She pointed at Malcolm. "Who lived here again?" "Were none of you listening earlier? It belonged to Mr. Flane, and he died 2 years ago. He lived here alone for at least 60 years. "Alone, you say?" said Ruth. "No shit." "Why would anyone choose to live like this?" said Helen. "I mean, like this." Jilly shrugged. It was not a question that was easily answered. "I don't think Mr. Flane was a well man." "How many rooms are in the place?" I asked. Said Jilly, consulting her clipboard. "About 50, somewhere in that region." "50, I said incredulously. "About 50, said Ruth. "Somewhere in that region," said Leo. "You don't know for sure?" Jilly shrugged apologetically. "Look at the place. It's hard enough to tell where the windows are, let alone count the rooms." That was all of page 101. So they've now been told that they have to work from upstairs down, just because they don't know how great the structure of the building is. So they have to start clearing through the hallways all the way up to the stairs and then start up, work their way down. And if there is anything seriously wrong, to report back to Jilly. And they were like, "What do you mean seriously wrong?" And she was like, "Oh, you know, it could be a wasp's nest or a leak." She was like, "Something like that. But hopefully everything's going to be fine. You just don't know with a place that's this full." However, we know, us readers, that there is going to be something that they do not expect. Mr. Flane, the sole owner of a house with at least 50 rooms, had been devoured so completely by some strange but compelling idea that he had ended up hiding from the world in this tiny, choked burrow of a place. In doing so, he had apparently rescinded all human privileges, living in near darkness like a grub. There was something both infinitely repellent and heartbreaking about it all. In attempting to shake off my implications, I walked over to the wardrobe and before I could think better of it, jammed the torch under my arm and opened it. That part where he's like basically saying this poor guy was like so obsessed with something, he became a recluse and also wanted to hide away everything like that he was doing or his findings. So we're starting to get into the real juice of it all. we're just going to do a little book check-in as I've been reading in bed. The last part we discussed was Alex just about to open a wardrobe. He goes in and ends up finding this jar of about £2,000. So in this time, day and age that it's set in, that was a lot of money. Alex wants to keep the money. Well, he considers it because at the start of this book, there's his two friends that's saying goodbye to him for the summer, Marcus and Amethyst. And straight away, they give off these kind of like the vibes that they're not great friends, like they're not the best of people. Anywho, he finds this money. Alex has got a thing for Amethyst. He really likes her. He thinks to himself, if I take this money, I could get myself a holiday wherever Amethyst is. I could go there, I could be with her. He didn't even care if she was to pretend to be with him. That's how bad he wanted to be with her. Then not long after this, Helen sees a girl wandering through the woods. Alex isn't sure he believes her. So then this girl turns up who is supposed to be the last one to join the group. Look, that's her, said Helen. She tugged at my sleeve like a child. Look, Alex, I told you I saw a woman. That's her. It must be. She tells this girl, I saw you. And this girl's like, no, you didn't. I've just got here. And Helen is determined. She's like, absolutely. I saw you wandering around. However, this girl's like, you've got it wrong. I've just turned up. I do like how they describe the woman in charge, who is Jilly Cowie. Have you spoken to Jilly Cowie, said Malcolm. She's the, what do you call it, forewoman? Manageress? She's in charge here. Clive is like, I'm going to take you to her. When Adam sees the new girl, he is like a little bit shooketh. His eyes widened and impossibly his dust-stricken face grew paler even than its normal eerie whiteness. Upon seeing her face, he exhaled a sigh that was almost relief, but almost something else too. Something like disappointment. You all right there, Adam? Said Clive in a matter-of-fact voice. Fine, he answered flatly. On the next page, Alex is basically like, do you know that girl? No, he hissed. His voice, normally devoid of passion, had a seam of something close to anger to it. No, I don't know her. He basically tells Alex to forget it. There's clearly something more to that. Alex is saying to the new girl, Ella, you didn't know of any of these people from before? No, do you? No, she said, just you. What? You don't know me? She says she's seen him around. So, I've seen you hanging out with her and those awful people she knows, pretending you're having a much better time than you are. And he's like, you're talking about my friends here. And she's like, they're not your friends. She's basically kind of waking him up to be like, look, these people you were hanging around with, they're not nice people. And then Ella pretty much tells him that Amethyst had someone coming to her dorm and sleeping with her, and it turns out it was Marcus. So his friend had been sleeping with the girl that he liked. Alex was not in a good place in this moment. They started saying how they think that there are bodies in this house, and Helen basically yells at them, will everyone stop saying that? It makes being here intolerable, like we're all waiting for something awful to happen. There's another little snippet of Adam being strange towards Ella. So Adam meanwhile said nothing. Every time I looked at him, I caught him looking at Ella. Then he would become aware that I was observing him and look away. And the next time I looked at him, he'd be looking at her again, as if he couldn't quite believe she was real. I am really intrigued by Adam. Like, something is going on with him and I really want to get to like what it is. And they find a Bible in Welsh, and I love, like, living in Wales now, I love when I read a book and there's something associated with Wales in a book. So at one point they discuss between them what it is that could have made someone start hoarding things. And I thought that was quite an interesting discussion for them to have, especially because it's such a real thing. Like, I was going to say illness, but I suppose it can be, depends on the extent. This guy has got like things absolutely everywhere, and one of them says it's as if like you've lost something precious to you maybe, and then it means that you cannot let anything else go, so you have a matchbox and you can't throw it away, so you get another matchbox and then you're not able to throw that away, and it builds and builds and builds, which is a possibility. But now they're all wondering what it is that this guy that previously lived in the house, what he actually lost to make him start hoarding, or to make him kind of the way he became. They end up finding some photographs of Edwin Flane, the guy that used to own the building, and he has scratched off his face and painted over it, and he's made him like himself, got like this really long face, and I think there's like a bit in the front of this, yeah, so there's like no mouth, it's a really long nose, so something a bit like this. So that's what he's now done to all the pictures of himself, and they even find a family picture, and he's done that to him as a child on the picture as well. In old hush, we began to flick through the albums, the loose photos inside the boxes. On every single photo, with absolutely no exceptions, Mr. Flane's face had been carefully scratched out and painted over, always the same satire-like non-human face. Even the oldest photos, showing Flane as a child, ankle deep in a stream or river, trousers rolled up to his knees, had been subject to the same treatment. All these pictures, they don't even know what this guy actually looked like because he has tampered with all of them. Going back to mentioning Adam and whatever's going on with him, so when they all leave this room after looking through the photos, he's kind of just like staring, like everyone filed out apart from Adam. He stood unmoving, looking down at the photograph of the family group, staring at it intently, as if he were peering into the bottom of a well. Adam? ? I said. He looked up confused, but said nothing, closed the album, placed it on the marble dressing table. He walked out of the room slowly, not really conscious of my presence. I previously mentioned how Alex has lost both of his parents. We don't actually know how they died. He got asked and he lied. Basically, he said, honestly, they died of, is it typhus? Sounds crazy in this day and age, but there it is. Everyone, even Clive, let the subject drop after that, but Ella looked at me suspiciously through narrow eyes. She does then question him further about his parents dying. He starts giving her like all of these different, here it is, all the different like scenarios where his parents could have died. So she said, that's Jane Eyre. What really happened to your parents? Honestly, my father was killed by a fallen beam and my mother died of fever. No, hang on. That's Heidi. What happened to your parents? We were coming home from the theatre and we were robbed. They were both killed in front of me. That's friggin' Batman. What really happened to your parents? I'll tell you someday. Will you? I will. I promise. So we still don't know what happened to his parents, but it did amuse me a little bit that he's throwing out these things that happened in like previous stories or famous stories, if you will. This is how far through we are. I am really enjoying this. Currently, the part I'm on is a weekend. The manageress, as Clive called her, is away for the weekend, so it's going to be interesting what they get up to on a weekend. We've got a lot happening, really, considering it's just a bunch of kids cleaning out a haunted house, and I don't necessarily really dislike any of them. Ruth and Helen are like, I'm not that bothered by them, but there's none that I really hate or anything, which always makes it a better reading experience. Like when you have like a haunted house situation or a kind of a horror aspect to a book, you always expect to have that character that you really want to be taken first. Also, there was a point where Helen had a key thrown at her and she blamed Clive, but he is swearing hands down he didn't do it. So no one knows where this key came from, but it is clean. It's like polished. Everything else is covered in dust. They wear these like suits, like these hazmat suits to be able to clean in because it's so filthy there. But this key that has hit Helen and it left a mark on the back of her shoulder. So it was heavy. And yeah, it's left a mark. We don't know what this key has to do with anything yet. Hey vlog, it is Monday and it's a very hot day today. It is so warm. I've had 2 fans on. However, I turned them off just to film this clip because they're quite noisy. So we don't want that disturbing the vibes, do we? So they have found this room in the house that has like nothing in it at all. Like, it's pretty much empty apart from these books that are kind of like diaries that Mr. Flane has wrote in. It's almost like a autobiography of sorts. She turned to the very last page, and there were words that might have been the root of the matter. The autobiography that Flane strived his whole life to write, condensed to 6 short words. I have left the human race. I am so excited to like learn more about what this guy was thinking. He does write a lot about his mother, and we learn his mother's name is Ella, and Adam seems to find it quite amusing that her name's Ella and she has red hair like the Ella that is now with them. Wait, maybe you're her ghost, smirked Clive. I mean, you did just turn up out of the blue, and we've only ever seen you around the house. Dude, she was literally on my course, muttered Ruth. Shit, I'm right, said Clive, ignoring Ruth. Oh my god, you're a fucking ghost. And I would find that humorous, especially if she is a ghost and she'd been in that girl's class. Like, how interesting is that? It was also interesting how Flane never called his mum or mother. So he never called her mother. Ella instructed him at all times to address her by her first name, as if they were equals. She was Ella to him, to everyone. She seemed, from Flane's endless descriptions of her, as vibrant and luminous a person as it was possible for a human to be. And her love for the things that she loved, nature and the gardens, her son, seemed boundless. It was Ruth who found the passages about her disappearance. So Flane's mum disappeared. She was planning on running away with a new lover and wanted to take her son with her. And she kept going to visit this new love of hers. And one day she just doesn't come back. And it's supposedly known that she ran away with this new guy. However, Flane does not believe this for a second. He is like, she would not leave me. Mother had always made sure that Solace House was the happiest of all places, but without her presence, the place decayed, became gloomy and stale. So things are starting to make sense in the way that, like, why is this place such a mess, so to speak. You also get a bit more of a backstory as to how the marshlands, the kind of hospital, opened. So basically, during the war, both Flane and his father could not go to the war, so they opened up this hospital for those suffering afterwards, and that's how they kind of made their money, made the hospital well known. So his father was called Abel, and on page 190 it says, "Sad though," said Ruth, "one missing and the other 2 mad in her absence." "How did Abel and Ella ever get married in the first place?" said Ella. "He was such a Victorian, such a rationalist. Even his business was, what was it? Mining, taking minerals from the earth and putting them into service for the good of the British Empire. She was his polar opposite. It was like they were from different worlds. Maybe that's what made it work," said Adam wistfully. I read aloud from one of the volumes. "The cave and the house complement each other now, and there is B-wise, which forms a passage between the two." "What cave?" I said. "And where the hell is B-wise?" So they start finding out that there is a maze behind the house that also leads to caves. They've also got more now to explore, and bear in mind this is the weekend, you know, they're not supposed to be working, so now they're kind of like investigating where they are. So they go through this maze, and this is now on page 196, and they find this tile in the center of the maze which has written on it, "Ella Lillian Flane, 1862 till," and it's just got a dash, "gone from us now. In my father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. So it's like a memorial for Ella, even though it's supposedly that she ran off. I've got a theory that the dad may have got rid of her. Good morning. I do apologise if you can hear the fan, but it is dire heat right now in this country. We're just going to do a little bit of a book update because the next time I pick this up, I am possibly going to finish this. How old is this place? Ancient, said Leo. Older than humanity, although humans made use of it. He pointed his torch at the wall. For the first time, I saw the whirlpool patterns of concrete circles carved into the wall, like raindrop ripples on the surface of a pond. Is this a burial chamber? Leo shook his head. I don't know. I don't think so. The part I was just reading, they have gone into the caves, and Leo is one of the characters that is kind of obsessed with these caves. I think this was the place they came to, he said eventually, rolling up the spiral image and carefully sealing it in a roll of paper. The people who carved this, new or maybe even old, Stone Age. They didn't live here, that's clear, so maybe they came for a ritual purpose. Maybe it's a place for purification by ordeal. They came here and had to stay here for a set amount of time. Something occurred to him and he smiled. Turn off the torch. What? No. The stone walls gave Leo's voice a commanding edge. Just turn it off. I did as I was told. Instantly, everything ceased to exist. The darkness was absolute. The universe of the far future. After the stars had gone out and there was nothing, not even a single final flickering portent. Just endless, eternal emptiness. What did you say earlier? Leo's voice was shockingly loud in the dark. About a birth canal. Forget it, I said. I was just being flippant. Leo then goes on to say, I think your first instinct was correct. I think this was a ritual space, but then further down on the next page, Leo says, imagine coming out of here, back into the world of light and shape and colour. Remember, BUIs wasn't here then. So when they came here, when Ella Flynn first saw it, you just climbed straight down, into a gap in the rock. And your family and friends most probably rolled a stone over the entrance to seal you in. I shivered. You'd really have to trust them. Maybe that was part of it, said Leo. Yes, there's a singular ritual involving the ingestion of iboga that the Buiti practitioners of Gabon perform. I think I recall that. It's like being symbolically reborn. You had awakened. I breathed. Yes, said Leo. You had come alive, been reborn after travelling somewhere else. Where? Their unreachable realm, or Fling's hyperspectacle dimension beyond time, or Ella Fling's fairyland. So Leo shrugged. Why not all three? They're like basically saying going into this place can maybe cause you to think that you're somewhere else. Clive is experiencing these kind of times or things where something from the world is being removed. He went to a shop and he could remember a song word for word, and he was told the song doesn't exist. I remember the song. It was Led Zeppelin 3. Side 2, not the album with Stairway before you ask. Does it sound similar to the Queen one? That's just it. The song doesn't exist. I laughed. It does, Clive. We just heard it. Not the Queen one, idiot. The Zepp one. It's not on the album. Are you kidding me? My neighbour suck. You misremembered. And he's saying, no, he remembers this song specifically. However, now he cannot find it and the Queen one exists. They found some like dummies that were sat at a table that Mr. Flane had left there. Someone was like, oh, do you think maybe he came up here and ate dinner with them? Helen shook her head. No, he never came up here. At one point, I think they believe it's supposed to be them. So there's lots of like creepy things happening throughout this book now, and it's getting more and more creepy. Like, I have read through some of it where you get more of Adam's backstory but from Ella, and it's kind of like how much of it is the truth. Jilly is no longer with us, and I'm not going to say why in case you do want to read this. I know I've added quite a few spoilers, but I think I want to leave some of it quite vague just in case you do want to pick this book up. But Jilly's no longer there. Clive has taken over. How this house could be affecting them, but then on top of that they're also taking mushrooms, so how much more of an effect is it having because of them taking mushrooms as well. Leo tells them in what order they're going to start going, and then the second person goes and it is in the order that he said. There is a part where Leo goes to spend the night in the cave whilst on mushrooms, so that was also quite interesting how the being there changed him. They're all experiencing quite different things, different situations. You are also getting more of backstories, or like, you know, why they are the way they are, because we have also found out what really happened to Alex's parents as well, which was a bit darker than I expected, a bit like nastier, I suppose. I don't know if that's the right word. Ella has these theories about what's going on with Mr. Flane and the house itself. You're a crazy boy. Like, so much is coming to light now, and I haven't got that much left. I am enjoying this a lot, but I am feeling like it's more of a 4-star than a 5-star, unless the end really blows me away. And I do really enjoy finding out more about this house, and it gets quite creepy, but really fascinating. I wouldn't say any of this feels like horror, it's more just on the creepier side. Hello guys, girls, everything in between. I am so warm, I am overheating. Wales is not equipped to deal with weather in the 30s, and it's just not okay. I did end up finishing Solace House by Will MacLean. I have not read anything else by him. This is his second book, and I did end up giving this a 4.5. At the end it got really close to having that 5-star feeling, but the very end I felt so unsatisfied I had to drop half a point. The last like part of the book was so surprising to me. Like, what essentially happens is they find out that Mr. Flane had found or created this type of ritual. Don't know if he essentially found it, but there was a ritual that took place that he completed to be able to see different timelines, different like outcomes of life basically. And he says he finds like a particular person, and if you follow this you will also see it. And then the last part of this, Alex has realized that somebody else has possibly completed what Mr. Flane had done, and he was living a timeline chosen by someone else. So he had to go back to Solace House because he wakes up somewhere completely different. It is good. I did start having 5-star feelings, and then towards the end, like the very last page, I was like, no, you cannot end it like that. I need you to explain a little bit more to me. I need further explanation. Like, this is quite a big book. There are bits that could have moved a little bit faster, and then you could have added on more to the end, because I am unsatisfied, and usually I would drop it down like a whole star for that, but because that last part was so good, I have to give this a 4.5. So not quite a 5-star. There were 5-star feelings though. So the vlog so far has been somewhat successful. I have started reading this one. So The Well of Ascension, which is Mistborn Book 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I did put some new nails on earlier. Made the smallest of dents, but like, what a glorious flop for a massive book. This is obviously following Vin, who was one of the main characters in book 1. It starts straight away so good. I was a bit skeptical picking this up because I was like, I loved the first one so much. I'm like, what if I don't? What if I go back into this world and I just feel disappointed? So already it's so fun. It's getting right into it. Now, the first book was still quite slow because it was very character driven, and I have seen reviews on this one being a little bit slow in parts, but that didn't stop the first one being 5 stars for me. Now, I used to think if the first one's 5 stars, then surely I'm going to give the rest 5 stars, right? Because I've loved the world so much and now I'm already invested. Wrong. Because there are series that have just dropped off for me. So it's still a risk. We're following Vin. However, we are also a little bit following... I had to check the back for his name because I'm not 100% sure how to say it. It's like Lend with an E at the front. Elend. So we follow him a little bit as well, who in the first one, he was the nobleman that Vin was quite liking, and all of them were saying not to trust Eland because he is one of the quite high up noblemen and he will not be supportive in their cause. He is not going to be on board with them and it could get very messy for her. Her feelings were strong. He is still around and we are following him a little bit. I am going to say a few spoilery things, but before I do, I'm going to say a bit kind of non-spoilerish because this has all happened right at the start of the book. Someone is watching Vin and we don't know why. So whenever she's fighting off, like assassins come for her and she's fighting others off, the watcher is just watching and they make themselves visible so that Vin knows they're watching. And sometimes she's just running around on rooftops and he is watching. We also have the being, I don't really know what to call him. I can't remember if there's a name for him, but basically he is sworn by contract to do as Vin says and to protect her. And he was a gift as like a bodyguard from Kelsier. And whenever he gets badly injured or what have you, he needs a new body. He has to eat another body in order to then grow into them, so to speak. And it's a bit grim. But right at the start, when they've had a bit of a battle, and he's like, can I eat one of these guys? And she's like, no, I'm going to find you someone else. He cannot kill. I might be able to explain that better at a later date, but probably not, because I feel like it makes sense, but then when I try and talk about it, I feel like I'm not making sense. Spoilery part, if you don't want to know spoilers, I mean, we're talking about a second book, and I'm not going to spoil everything, but I am going to discuss some things that happened at the end of book 1 that has led to this situation now. Eland is now the king, and he has also asked Vin to marry him. There's not been a wedding as of yet. I don't think she really wants to be a ruler. She just wants everyone to be safe, and they're in quite a dark situation at the moment. So the guy that was like her like chaperone in the first one, Sayed, I think his name was, something like that, he is now trying to teach. So there's more Scar than there was before, and they are not interested. They do not care to read and write, and he thought it would be such a precious gift for others. Anyway, we have also got to the point where Finn thought it'd be a great idea if she gets this wolfhound, which is like this massive, it's almost like a ginormous dog, but it's like up to her hip. It's a huge dog, and she gets this wolfhound and kills it so that her bodyguard can eat it and become the wolfhound, which takes him longer because it's not a typical body, so to speak. However, he is able to keep up with her more now in the body of the wolfhound, and I quite like that she's got this wolfhound with her. I was not a big fan of her killing a wolfhound. Even if this was a vicious one, that did piss me off a little bit. Could it not have just died of natural causes, just for me? The book I talk about, Orsir is her bodyguard's name, and he is a Condra, which once they have eaten a new body and they have become that person, or a shell, like they're in a shell of that person, so to speak, the old body is like crisp, clear bones, like there's no flesh, it's just clear bones left behind, and that was the previous body that they were wearing. We've just got to a point where somebody in the palace has found Osir's previous bones. However, they found another lot of bones, which means there is another Kandra in the palace. There was a very good chance that someone in their core team, a member of Kelsier's former band, was now an imposter. We just don't know who now is a fake and whose bones have been left behind. We also have two armies outside of the palace, and one of the armies is actually Elend's father, and he wants to take the place as his own. They've just managed to grab Breeze as he was coming back and was about to be attacked as he was coming back to the palace. He's one of the core members from the previous book, and he was the one that actually manipulated the other army, or the guy in command of it, to come over to this place as well. In his head, he was like, if there are two armies, they're not going to attack straight away because they don't know which side Luthendale are going to kind of side with. So it's kind of made everyone at a standstill, which was the plan, so that Breeze can come in and be like, guys, we need to now make a plan for how we move forward from this. So a lot is happening, and like we're only, I think it's like 120 pages in, yeah, so there's so much going on. And like I said, I don't mind if it's happening at a slow pace, but at the moment I feel like things are happening. So CZ was Finn's steward, or chauffeur, chaperone, anything you want to call him. She mentions that he was her steward in this book. Where he's gone, he isn't actually in Luthendale at the moment. He is with Marsh, who is Kelsier's brother. Sazed is someone that collects information to pass on to others, like inquisitors and just people. Just, he wants to keep all religions going, so he collects information about everything. So he is gathering everything he can about this place they've just gone, whereas Marsh is like, this is a waste of our time. Anyway, the next chapter, I'm just going to read a bit of this page. So we're on a page 135. Finn sighed, rubbing her brow. I wish Sazed were back, she thought. It was an ideal wish, however. Even if Sazed were in Luthendale, he wouldn't be her steward. The Terraceman no longer called any man master. She'd have to make do with Osir. The Kandra at least could provide information that Sazed could not, assuming she could get it out of him. We need to find the imposter, Vin said. The one who replaced someone. Yes, mistress, Osir said. Vin sat back in the mist, reclining on a slanted rooftop, resting her arms back on the tiles. Then I need to know more about you. Me, mistress? Kendra in general. If I'm going to find this imposter, I need to know how he thinks, need to understand his motives. His motives will be simple, mistress, Osir said. He will be following his contract. What if he's acting without a contract? Osir shook his canine head. Kendra always have a contract. Without one, they are not allowed to enter human society. Never, Vin asked. Never. And what if this is some kind of rogue Kendra? Vin asked. Such a thing does not exist, Osier said firmly. Oh? Vin thought skeptically. However, she let the matter drop. There was little reason for Kendra to infiltrate the palace on his own. It was far more likely that one of Elin's enemies had sent the creature, one of the warlords perhaps, or maybe the obligators. Even other nobility in the city would have had a good reason to spy on Elend. Okay, said Vin. The Kendra is a spy sent to gather information for another human. Yes, but, Vin said, if he did take the body of someone in the palace, he didn't kill them himself. Kendra can't kill humans, right? So they're bound by a contract to do as someone says, but they don't kill. So they're basically like, I don't know, it's like just to me it sounds like a slave, apart from the fact that they're like eating bodies to become someone else. So what Sazed is called a keeper. And they've just found another keeper who was listening in on the team's secret meeting. We're just about to find out what that's all about. Everything is slowly coming back to me. I didn't even read the first book that long ago, but there is so much to take in. And I think there's so much information, like I do forget bits. And this is why I have to keep all my favourite books, because they... little fly. Because they need rereading, especially with a memory like mine. I can't believe that happened. As I was trying to film my update before I went to sleep last night, my memory got full up and it was like, you cannot film anymore. So I deleted a bit, tried to film again, same thing happened. So here we are the following day with the bookish update. What I was going to say last night is there is a theory I had that maybe the Watcher was in fact Vin's half-brother or brother, because I couldn't remember from book 1 what happened to him. He could possibly be dead. However, I was right along the same type of lines, but wrong person. So we have now met the Watcher, and I don't know if I'm going to really like him or really dislike him, because Elend is so precious. And I feel like this guy is kind of corrupting Vin's thoughts a little bit, and it's becoming stressful times. Sazed had been taken and released all in the space of 1 chapter. It's all going down. I'm loving it, but I am so tense reading this. I am still getting the 5-star feelings, and I feel like... although I am predicting this still being a 5-star, I'm so tense reading it because I'm so scared for what's going to happen because of these characters and how much I love them and how much, like, I love being in this world, but there is so much at risk. And it being epic fantasy, quite often in epic fantasy, the author doesn't tend to care if they kill off your favourites. So it's a stressful time in this world. We are a good amount of the way through this book, and I'm going to have a massive binge of it right now once I've made myself a matcha. I was also going to like tell you about the weather and how hot it still is, and I don't know what came over me, but I had this like thought just happen in my wee little brain where I was like, and it's still 1,000 degrees in San Diego. I'm not even in San Diego. I don't know where this came from. Okay, the heat's obviously getting to me and I've gone completely delulu. I am almost at the halfway mark in this book, pretty much like halfway through. And I have to say, although I am loving this book, like, I like that we have more characters now. I like that there is different people that we follow. We're not always following the same person. I like that it's written in third person. I like the perspectives. I like that there is still an element of mystery. There is still so much that we don't know, that we're learning in this world. This is so much more than I expected. I love the politics of it all. Like, I'm not someone that enjoys like politics in general life, yet in a fantasy book, I'm all for it. Love it. It's just so much fun to read. And I am... Would it not be good if you ate the bone rather than trying to put it into duvet? Would that be good? Got it next to Mum's book. So we're going to do a bookish update. Are we? Oh, he's beautiful. Oh, he's beautiful. Yes. Please take no notice of my hair. I am washing it tomorrow, okay? It's going to be better in the next clip. You see me. However, I did want to update us on the book situation. So I'm on page 519. So I'm a good chunk of the way through. I'm currently on chapter 42. So I haven't got an awful lot left. I do plan on finishing this weekend. However, I'm currently at the stage where I'm so frustrated with this book. Not that it's bad, it's just things are happening that I don't want to happen, and it's starting to stress me out. Do you know what? I'm having like a bad mental health period right now, and this book is just going to drown me in sorrows. I can already feel it. I am very weary of some of the characters. I really don't like one of them that I feel like maybe I should be liking, and I feel like I'm being stubborn and I really don't want to like them. Elland, who was king. I want him to be king again. Elland is going through some pretty tough times at the moment, and I've kind of fallen a little bit in love with him. Not in the same way I loved Calcier, because he was like badass, funny, powerful. Like, he had just charisma. He was a bit silly. He had like a goofy fun time. And Elland isn't like that. He is a precious man trying to do his best. And he's adorable. He tries so hard to just do the right thing, which doesn't always land him in the best position. Doesn't get him the best outcomes. But he's like a sweet baby flower. My last video was Teddy Swims vlog, and I cannot stop singing Teddy Swims songs. See the tears in my eyes from a different point of view. She loves the rain. Passage from Lynch's biography. He had at least skimmed many of the older records, searching for religious references. Yet he would never be able to realize that the passage was referring to the hero ages, a figure from Terrace lore that the Cleaning people had renamed into their own tongue. Yes, he said slowly, laying his hand. I have had such a serious time finishing this book. So I finally finished The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And Brandon, oh my God, you know how to put me through some stresses. I feel like he does this on purpose. The stress, the immense stress levels finishing this book. Do you know what? I got to a point where I was like, it's definitely a 5-star. And I was like, maybe around halfway through, and then it got a bit on and I was like, maybe it's like a 4.75, and then this last like chunk here like blew me away, so it was back up to a 5-star. So this is definitely a 5-star. First one's 5-star, this one was 5-star, and it's most likely going to be the last one to be 5-star. However, I'm not going to read that book for carrying on my 5-star predictions, because in a way I feel like it's a little bit cheating. I might still vlog reading that book, maybe. Dexter's just back from the groomers.